Namaskar, warm greetings from DELNET Developing Library Network, New Delhi and Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Distinguished speaker, Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee, Joint Registrar, IIT Delhi, Dr. Nabi Hassan, Head Librarian, IIT Delhi, Shri K. Jayakumar, President DELNET, Dr. S.S. Murthy, Vice President, Dr. P.R. Goswami, Treasurer, the officials from IIT Delhi, heads of institutions, including the Vice Chancellors, Directors, Principals, Deans, Head of the Departments, librarians and LIS professionals, educational administrators, IQAC officials, faculty, researchers, scholars, and my colleagues at DELNET New Delhi, and also its coordination units at Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Pune. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Sangeeta Kaur, Director DELNET, on behalf of DELNET, New Delhi and IIT Delhi, extends a very warm, hearty welcome to all of you to have joined us today from various parts of India and many other countries across the globe, including Hungary, Indonesia, Mali, Namibia, Sri Lanka, UAE, and USA, to a webinar on best practices for improving NIRF ranking being organized by DELNET in collaboration with IIT Delhi, which will shortly be delivered by the esteemed expert speaker, Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee, Joint Registrar, IIT Delhi. We are much grateful to each one of you for your very overwhelming response, as more than 2,000 participants have registered for this session today. At the very outset, on behalf of DELNET, we would like to express our warm, sincere gratitude and thanks to IIT Delhi for collaborating with DELNET in organizing today's webinar session. I express my sincere thanks to the esteemed speaker, Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee, for sparing his valuable time to be there with us this afternoon to share his vast expertise and knowledge on the subject. Also, I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Nabi Hassan for his kind support in organizing today's session. He has been very instrumental in introducing us all to our distinguished speaker. The topic of today's webinar is of great relevance to every institution in the country. I'm much pleased to share with you that the National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF, was approved by MHRD and launched on September 29, 2015, and it is a great coincidence that on the eve of the 8th year of its completion today, that is on 28th of September 2023, we have all been here to discover about the best practices for improving NIRF ranking from our luminous speaker, Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee, Joint Registrar at IIT Delhi. And as all of us are fully aware about it, that IIT Delhi has got the rare distinction, an impressive and a remarkable distinction of holding the 3rd rank in the overall category of NIRF 2023. And each and everyone at IIT Delhi deserves a great appreciation and accolades from everyone. I have the immense pleasure in introducing our distinguished speaker, Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee, serving as a Joint Registrar at IIT Delhi. Dr. Bhattacharjee has been at IIT Delhi for past more than 2 decades and holds academic and administrative experience of more than 30 years. He completed his PhD in knowledge management from IIT Delhi in the year 2015, besides holding a master's in business administration. Prior to joining IIT Delhi, Dr. Bhattacharjee also served as a faculty member at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. His areas of expertise includes e-governance, data analysis, knowledge management, AI in the field of academics and IIT, besides being in the teaching. I have profound privilege and honor in requesting Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee to kindly start the proceedings. And we express our very warm, sincere gratitude and thanks to you, Dr. Bhattacharjee, for sparing your time in being there with us, and the organizers, as well as each and everyone being today online here on this platform, express our very warm, sincere thanks and gratitude to you. May I have a pleasure in requesting you now, Dr. Bhattacharjee, to kindly start the proceedings. It's over to you.
Thank you, madam. It is an honor for me to address this August gathering. I have been working with this basically the ranking at IIT Delhi for last 6.5 years, and we have been participating both international and domestic rankings, different rankings, and with that experience, I thought sharing my with that experience, I thought of sharing whatever I've learned during this 6.5 years time with people. If it is of any use to the community, it will be a great honor for me, and I would love to share my knowledge with all of you in future also. So when I am talking about this NRF based practices, the NRF ranking, it has been designed and developed in such a nice way. There is scope of interpreting is very limited, and people who are interested to participate in the NIF ranking would like to work very seriously. They can simply go through the basic document which is available in the NIF portal that tells you everything. And the beauty of this NIF scheme is they tell you how they measured all the parameters, the exact measurement they have given. They have given the exact formula how you can arrive at. There are some formulas are there where you can calculate your own score, but in some cases where you need to depend upon the overall population, who all are participating who are participating in this NIRF ranking. And basically that is some of the ranking parameters are based on the percentile, and some things is basically based on your individual input. So once you take the data from your own, you can just see it. You can at least 40 to 50% scores you can check from your end, and remaining 40 to 50% you have to depend upon how the data has been framed, how the data has been entered into the particular system. So again, let me tell you, this is a wonderful framework, and it is a domestic framework designed and developed in 2015. And initially, when it started with the only 4 segments. Now we have got 12 segments where the ranking parameters are captured. So first is these are the 12 areas where rather 13 where the ranking parameters are captured. The participating institutes, they provide the data. The data goes to the NRF portal. NRF portal does, they also collect some data from the third party using some third party tools. They collect the information. They take the information from different outside agencies, and then they do some validations. If there is any some clarification is required from them, they come back to the nodal officer. The nodal officer has to give some clarification to the to NIRF, and then the result, once it is analyzed, it is published. So it is a proud moment for us because it is a totally a domestic product. I think that NIRF is also trying to go for global, and I wish them all the best if they go for global, because that is a fantastic framework they have developed. With the background of IIT Delhi, we stand at, if you see the bottom line, we stand at engineering. Our rank is 2 all over India. Our overall rank is 3. Research, we are in 3rd. In management, we are in 5. And our data, whatever you can see it, basically it's not like that you have been improving every time. Like in management, we are at 4th rank. Last year we have come to 5, and similarly in overall we were at 2nd, we came to 3, and in engineering we have been consistently holding our position for last 3 years, last 5 years. So I'd like to share my experience with this NIRF ranking. This year, that is NIRF 2023. These are the institutes. Around 8,686 institutes have participated all over India, and out of which 262 are from our government institutes. So you can see that the way NIRF is growing, the way NIRF is expanding, and it shows its popularity, it shows its acceptability among the people of this country, among the academician of this country. Something before I proceed, I share my thoughts. I thought of telling you something that the NIF scores are relative scores. Obviously, it is not totally dependent on what the data you provide. It depends upon the data which is collected across the country, whosoever is participating in this one. Obviously, it is not absolute, but sometimes we check it, because just because this NIF is being monitored by NBA, then people question sometime, when you are doing accreditation, you do the accreditation for 5 years, and then you are doing the NIRF. Accreditation is for 5 years. In accreditation, you get a absolute score, but in NIRF, your score is relative, because that depends upon the positioning, your institute's positioning along with other institutes. Uh, they do the percentile scores are captured. The institute, and another last one is, I would like to say the most important part, whenever we participate in NIF, we certify that the data submitted by us are absolutely correct. So based on this particular certification, they do the analysis, and as I told you earlier, that if there is any discrepancies or something like that, they come back to the nodal officer and they take our feedback, and then if required, then the people are asked to amend the data. As I told you, there are, as far as ranking is concerned, it is not only NIF ranking. There are approximately 40 ranking organizations out there who does different type of ranking. But all rankings, there is no one is perfect. Every ranking, there are something, because if no one can cover everything, for covering everything, I know the questionnaire must be a huge one, which is not possible for any individual institute to participate in that. So obviously, there is a focus. Like if we go by the focus of QS, their focus is on perception. Their focus is how people talk about you. That's why, in case of QS, they give a perception weightage of 50%, because they say, let us say what people are talking about you. In case of Sanghai ranking, they talk about how many award-winning of researchers and faculty members are there. When you talk about NIRF, it is based on the infrastructure provided to you. So you can understand that for all ranking, there is a theme for NIRF thing. It is basically the infrastructure provided to the students community, to the research community. And that is this statement is very useful. And that is George. When it was stated that essentially all the models are wrong, but some are useful. So that is, I think, it is very important for us to know that for all ranking there may be some kind of a plus negativities are there, but few rankings are very useful, and no doubt NIRF is one of them. Why people go for this NIF ranking? Because it is a benchmarking tool. It provides a global insight and provide increased visibility of the individual institutes, and it can seek more funds, because for the government institutions, if your rank is very high, you can demand better fund. I mean more fund from your state government or central government, and it increased public trust, no doubt, because this information is available in the public forum. Brand perception is absolutely no doubt about it, because it's your institutional ranking, institutional brand. If it comes within first 10, 20, 100, it is an importance for your stakeholders. I have seen people in the villages also, in the rural sector. I've seen that people, they broadcast in their holding, they broadcast their NIRF ranking, and they hold it. They put it in a very bold fashion. It improves the competitiveness, no doubt about it. The institute is amongst the pioneers, and then it attracts the students. And for the students, it is an immense important tool to know the institute where they are planning to study, what rank they are holding. It boosts campus placement, no doubt about it. And most important part is, in NIRF ranking, the data is available free of cost. Also, both at NIRF portal, at the same time, it is also available in your institute website. So anyone can verify the authenticity of the data provided to you. Ranking is not is a new one. I mean, it started, ranking process started in 2002, 2004, 5. You can see the way they defined ranking. Ranking organizations, they started broadcasting or propagating about their ranking systems. So the objective of this particular slide is just to tell you that ranking is not a new one. It is there for last 2 decades. The basic objective of what I'm going to cover is basically how I'll talk about all the individual parameters of NIRF ranking and how the calculations are done. That is a major theme, major objective of my discussion with you. And I'll also tell you what are the measurements you will take so that you can think of increasing, which can basically help you in increasing or improving your ranking. Data asked by NRFs, these are the sample data components which all the institute, that 8,686 institutes, they enter into the particular system. We need to understand what are the importance. One is that sanction positions. We need to provide the students' enrollment details, UG, PG, PhD, and it is given for 3 years. Academic progress in terms of when the students is completing this particular study, whether they are completing their study in time. If they are completing in time, there is a weightage is given. If they are not completing in time, obviously there is a negative marking for that. The formula takes care of everything. Placement, as far as the placement is concerned, we provide the median salary, and then people who are basically moving from those who are not opting for the placement, they go for higher studies. Those information has to be captured. The sponsored consultancy research project, IPR, the facilities, the basically physical for the physically challenged. What are the facilities you have provided? That link you have to provide. Faculty details you have to provide. There is a template given over there. The complete details of the faculty that has to be entered, because the quality of faculty is one of the important ingredients for the purpose of increasing or improving your ranking. The financial details, the investment made for your library, the equipment purchase for the students, the laboratory facility you have prepared, the workshops you have conducted, and then operational expenses, infrastructure details. These are the major 10 component. These are the data elements you have to provide. So for any institute, we start preparing the data set. We take approximately 2 to 3 months time in collecting data from multiple stakeholders of the institute. We capture it in our Excel, and then we do the analysis before uploading in the NIR portal, and then 3 to 4 times we do multiple iterations on what are the data we have provided, and we do some analysis at our end before we finally submit the data into NIR portal. So the data for which you have to work and you have to capture the data. So these are the components. Now I'll go for the micro level, point by point. The defined functions. I'll talk about the different parameters which NIRF captures, and what are the weightage behind each and every component. The first one, the most important component, which I feel is the teaching and learning resources component, which we commonly call is a TLR. It has got 4 defined components. First one is basically the sanction strength. How many positions are sanctioned, how many students are enrolled, and how many PhD students are enrolled. So this particular the parameter which I have provided here, it is basically I have taken the example of engineering category parameters. Around 80% parameters are same for other 12. In some cases, it is little different. So if why I have chosen this engineering, because if I cover this one, around 90% of the parameters are covered. So only in case of medical and in dental, I think the parameters are little different. So the first is the SS, that is called the sanction strength and and students enrolled. They ask for 3 years. You have to provide 3 years UG sanction strength, 3 years PG sanction strength, and the number of students who are enrolled, and the gap. The minimum the gap, the better the result. The second one is faculty student ratio. Even those who are acquainted with the QA system, they know that faculty student ratio is one of the important ingredient. And here we calculate in terms of total number of faculty, the regular faculty divided by the number of UG PG students and the PhD students, and based on that we calculate. There is a function for that. we calculate and we give an overall weightage of 30% in this called faculty students ratio. It is expected, what is the standard accepting term is 1:15. That means for every 15 students there should be one faculty. So if it matches, then you get completely 30 marks in this particular parameter. For the students faculty and for the student sanctioning, I have already told you that it is basically minimum the when you can minimize the gap between sanction strength and the enrolled students, that is the best. The third one is the faculty quality and the employment details. So it total weightage under this one is 20 marks. 10 marks is given for the faculty members having PhD qualification. So if 95% of your faculty members have PhD qualifications, then you get complete 10 score. Whereas for the experience, there are 3 clusters. One cluster is where the faculty members experience is less than 8 years. The second cluster is experience between 8 to 15, and the third one is more than 15. So weightage is below 8 years experience, 3 marks. Between 8 to 15, it is 3 marks, and over 15 years of experience, it is 4 marks. So accordingly, we calculate the total score. This is an absolute score depending upon the data which you provide. It is not based on the percentile, and it doesn't depend upon the marks given or the contribution made by other institutes. Third one is basically the expenses, that is the resource utilization, where the capital expenses, operational expenses of last 3 years are captured and calculated. And this equation is there is a function, there is a formula, and based on this particular formula, we enter that particular data and systems calculates. So this is about the teaching learning resources, where the weightage is 30%, and these are the 4 components. So I hope you can understand the most important ingredients, that is called the teaching learning resources component, which are the 4 parameters and how the calculations are done. These informations are already available in the NIRF document, and the most important part you all can understand is that the quality of faculty with PhD qualification is compulsory, and the number of PhD students, sanction strength, students enrolled, and the overall student faculty ratio. The second parameter which comes under this one is called the research and professional practice. So again, we provide this particular data into the system. We calculate under, again, there is a 4 parameter. One is the publication. This publication data they capture through InflipNet. They ultimately take the data either through Web of Science or Elsevier, and we do not enter the data into the system. So these data are captured through third-party utility tools or from third organization. So again, the data is captured from the system. So calculation wise, you have to see the publication per faculty. It has the weightage of 35%, and then quality of paper. So it is basically the 3-year citation per faculty is captured, and the institution's publication in terms of top 25 institutes in India is there is a function, they calculate it, and based on that, that QP parameter is calculated. Third one is IPR. Here is the patent granted and patent published information is captured, and last one is the research funding and consultancy funding. This data we provide, and at the same time, NIRF compares this data with defined funding agencies. For any kind of discrepancy, they come back to us, and we do the validation from our side. We certify that the data provided are perfect. So we have talked about the 2 important parameters. The first one takes about 30%, and second one is also takes around 30% of the weightage. The next one is the graduation outcome. Obviously, it is very clear that it is for the student's placement, and weightage factor is 20%, and it has 4 components. one component is basically the placement of the institute, and how many students has gone for the higher study. There should try to minimize this particular gap. For organization like IIT Delhi, we face this particular problem that many of our students they do not opt for placement, and also they do not tell us whether they are going for higher studies or not. So we have created another mechanism through which we collect this information, but when they leave this institution, we ask them to fill up a questionnaire. In this particular questionnaire, unless they fill up the particular questionnaire, they are not considered for giving the certificates. So obviously it is a mandatory where they are bound to enter the data about as far as the placement data is concerned, that is there with us, but where they are going for higher studies, that data we capture from that particular questionnaire. So here 40% weightage is given over there. So that is for how many students are placed and where they have gone for higher studies. The next one is basically, as I told you, examination system. So are you completing the entire study within the time frame? So this NIRF allows us to go for 80%. There is a criteria for 80%. At least 80% student should be able to complete their study in time. So if you provide information that more than 80% or 80% student have done their study or completed their study within the stipulated time frame, you get complete score of 15. So like that, we have got students placement data. We provide the median salary for last 3 years. There is a function for that. Our median salary is compared with the other institutes, and then we get the score. The total grade or total weightage given over there is 25%. Similarly, for the PhD students, the average PhD passed out in last 3 years time. With that particular data, again it is compared. There's a function is there. Again, it is compared with the other institutes, and we have some ranking. So total weightage under this category is 20%. Under that, there are 4 individual categories are there. So one is your students placement history, students higher study details, then how many students are able to pass in time, and then the median salary for the students, and average student average PhD student passed out. So these are the 3 individual components. The 4th component is basically the outreach and inclusivity. So again, the weightage over there is 10%, and 4 parameters are there. We need to talk about how many students are from our own state and how many are from the other country. So those parameters are calculated. How many students are from other states? The 25% weightage is given over there, given for that category, and then 5% is given for those students who are from the other categories. For outreach, for the women diversity, first one is the regional diversity. Regionally, basically whether within the state or outside the state, and then the country. The second one is for the women diversity. Under the women diversity, we calculate there is a weightage is given, 50% weightage is given. Supposing a particular in an institute 50% students are from the women category, so there is a complete marks or 15 marks is given over there. Similarly, for the women faculty, the criteria adopted by NIRF is 20. At least out of 100 students, 100 faculty, 20 faculty must be from the women category. In that case, you will get the full score of 15. So like that, the total score is calculated. And then the students with the tuition fee reimbursement, it is not applicable in terms of private institutes, but for the government institution, many of our students, they get the fees reimbursement. The fees reimbursement is done by the state government or central government. In some cases, it is from the institute. In case of institute, for the central government organization, the money basically comes from the government only. And then last one is under this category is the facilities provided for the physically challenged. They ask basically 3 questions: whether the basic lifts and ramps are there, whether the facilities, the proper toilets have been set up for the people with physical category are there or not. So those informations are captured. So we have talked about majorly 4 categories. Every subcategory I've tried to mention here. And the next one is basically the perception. Again, 10% weightage is given for the perception. For perception, NIRF, they interact with defined vice chancellor, academic heads, the people of from the industry who was holding an important position, and their database is around last year I checked it, around 8,000 plus professionals database were there. So a questionnaire is sent to them, and there are there are follow-ups done by NRF to those recipients, and then they are requested to complete that perception survey and submit the result into the NIRF portal. So this is the way how NIRF collects the data from different institutes and they do the analysis. So this is the most important part. I'll take up some of the parameters in my next slide, and I'll tell you how you can think of improving your individual ranking. For better understanding, I have taken the example of NIRF ranking under engineering category. The top 10 institutes data I have plotted here. The data were available in the NIRF portal. Again, all the 4 parameters are captured. First one is basically teaching learning resources. Why I'm showing this particular one, then you can understand how the marks are given and what type of scores usually come under that. If you see the students strength, including doctoral studies, 20 weightage I have already covered, and you can see the score of individual IITs and the other institutions. Majority out of this is the engineering college ranking, so most of them are 7 major IITs. The included 3 last 3 are IIT Hyderabad, which is a 2nd generation IIT, then NIT Trichy, then Jadavpur University. So these are the top 10 institutes in India under engineering category, and the data which is captured from the NIRF portal is placed over there. You can see the score. If we talk about the score under the capacity and the category A2, that is faculty students ratio, you can see the IIT Madras, they have scored 30, and no one is nearby. The nearby institute is another institute is that is Jadavpur University, whose score is who are ranked at 10. So like that, one can see the scores of different institutes under engineering category, and obviously the total they sum up. The topper is given the first rank, second rank, third rank, like that. I mean, it is basically based on the overall positioning, but if you go by the individual marks under the category teaching and learning, you can see there is some discrepancy. The people there are institutes as IIT Hyderabad, they are positioned at 7, but they have scored very high. So but when I go to the next slide, the complete score will be shown. Then you can understand how IIT Madras has come number 1, Delhi number 2, Bombay number 3, like that. So like that, research and professional practice, the defined parameters are given over there. Then graduation outcome, all the parameters we have mentioned over there. So you can see finally the score is given out of 100, out of overall score is given over there, and the institutes are ranked. So it is an enormous job done at NIRF. They do data analysis, they do quite thoroughly, and there has not been any scope for us to ask them why our score has has come down, or it is not as per our expectation. The scopes are very limited, because once they publish it, they publish with the complete data. One can check their data, and as I told you at the very beginning, around 50% data you can check from yourself, and for the remaining 50% data, you have to depend upon the position of other institutes who are participating. This is the graphical presentation of the same data. Through the graph, you can see where we position. So like that, we have under the engineering category, for all categories I have mentioned, and we can talk about how the individual score has come. But normally NIRF do not disclose the actual mark sheet. Like if I talk about say IIT Bombay score of 24 under faculty student ratio, so that data is available with IIT Bombay. They know what is their faculty strength, they know what is their student strength, so that is the individual score they know. But the individual scores, how that number has come up, so that is not disclosed by NIRF. Rather, QS also doesn't disclose that. Like that, reach and professional practice, and then graduation outcome, then outreach and inclusivity, then engineering perception. This is the engineering perception only. The NIRF, they do the data analysis, they do collect the data from different experts. Here the individual institutes have no role to play. Very interestingly, we find in last 3 to 4 years, I could see that IIT Madras has been scoring almost 100 or little less than 100. So as per the students per se, I mean students or experts perception is there, IIT Madras, they score very high in this particular category. Maybe one of the reason is basically because of their research park, which is very popular among the corporates in India, and they have gained huge popularity because of the research park which is available at IIT Madras. Other institutes also have the research park, but the first research park of that magnitude was first started at IIT Madras. So this is their perception. And the next one is basically, let us talk about what are the parameters in which we can think of improving. One is basically the teaching learning process. So obviously there is something where you have to work for you have to work with a long-term goal. So you should have a good student strength, you should have a good faculty strength, faculty with PhD, and sustainability. You have to retain the talent, you have to retain faculty members, you have to retain the faculty members for a long term. Then only you can have a very good score in NIRF. See, as I told you when I was talking about this parameter, they take the data in terms of how many faculties are there with the institute more than 15 years, how many faculties are there in institute for between 8 to 15 years, or less than 15 years, or less than 8 years. So we can understand that lot of importance is given for to retain faculty and to enrich them. So improving the teaching learning process and completing the course in time. So we have seen in our in the formula bar that 80% weightage is given over there. If you can complete 80% of your coursework within the stipulated time frame, you can get the complete score. Second is reachability. When you go for perception, how the perception can be improved. Perception can be improved when people know about your institute. There are 8,886 institutes are there, but how you can ensure that that I'm not talking about the IITs and IIMs, but for a small government institute or for a small private institutions, how their reach can be improved. That can be done through providing to make their web presence, to participate in the social sites, and then to have a good communication team who can keep on uploading and updating the website. And they can also encourage students by through the web participation in terms of placing your institutional repository in terms of good coursework, in terms of your good PPTs. You can keep it in the website, so which can be accessed by people. It is not only by your students. It can be on the students from other institute. Let them access it. If more and more people access your repository, and there will be more hits in the website, and it will have a more rich, and it will have a indirect impact on the overall uh, perception of your institutions. Number of graduations who pursue the highest education. So you must have, any institute should have a good uh, document collection center about the students, uh, how they are faring during their study, and what is their objective, whether they are going for placement or they are going for higher studies. And there are many students, they know, in the last in the final year, they come under the confusion whether they will accept the job or they will go for higher studies. And in some time, uh, earlier we faced this particular problem. We could not capture the information from the particular students whether he has accepted the particular job or he has gone for higher studies. Or sometime, they go for hibernation for some time. They think of, will apply for administrative services in India, will prepare for 2 to 3 years time. So neither they give the information about their higher education, nor they give the information about the placement. So in our institute we faced this type of problems. I'm sure that this type of problems are faced by defined institutes. The most important part is you should be connected with your current students, and you should know about their plans, so that you can capture this particular information. First 2-3 years we suffered, but later on we have developed a particular mechanism through which we keep ourselves updated about the students educational plan or their joining plan into the industry. Nurturing faculty research output by providing adequate resources. Obviously, for the institutions of the most important part for any organization is, you must try to attract more and more faculty members. The faculty members will retain with you, will be remaining with your institute, will be connected with the institute, provided you give them adequate research facilities, provided you provide them enough incentives. Uh, in any in many of the IITs, we know, there is a defined incentive mechanisms are there. The first 3 years they are given a lump sum amount if they join. When they join initially, they are given some seed grant to start with the research work. When they join, they give sufficient research funding from the R&D department, so that they can uh, if I take the example of IIT Delhi, many of around 70% of our faculty members, they come abroad. They have completed their postdoc or their PhD is from abroad. So when we ask them to come here, we have to provide them adequate uh, ecosystem, so that they can adjust here quite well, by providing them sufficient resources in terms of computers, in terms of uh, high computing facility, in terms of good lab space, in good number of research scholars. So those facilities has to be provided to them, and that is one of the reason uh, in IITs and NITs the faculty retention ratio is very high. And since and my submission to all other institutions is basically try to retain good faculty and try to incentivize them. You can also do the provide incentives in terms of good publications, and if they do some good publication uh, in a high ranked journal, so in that case you can provide some incentives. So the top level institutes in IITs, like top level institutes in India, like IITs and NITs, there is a sufficient number of incentives are available. So but in the state level, that type of incentives are not adequate. So my request to all the academic community, try to put a lot of emphasis on that. And promoting outreach and inclusivity, increasing, this is this is the era where the government of India is trying and pushing hard to ensure that the students with difficulties and students with from other community, and and they should be given, there should be an inclusivity for the purpose of inclusivity, sufficient facilities and support has to be provided. And attracting PhD graduates, no doubt that attracting PhD graduates is because they are the persons who basically, they are our driver to have good number of publications. So any faculty having 3 to 4 PhD scholars on an average, every PhD scholar after third year or fourth year, they start producing good number of papers. So having good number of PhD scholars in your institutions is a big plus. And we face a lot of problems in terms of research papers. That was a very common problems in our institutions. The many people says, I have published, many faculty members, they used to say, I have published so many papers, my publication is this, I mean, it should be 2000, 3000, but whereas the data which is captured in our system, it is around 1500, 1600. The reason for that, maybe there are some multiple IDs, maybe the same with same name, multiple people are there and system is not able to understand them. So the most important part is basically, please ensure when you are publishing your paper that you provide the proper affiliation. And when it is Scopus indexed, you go for ORC ID, or ORC ID must be mentioned, because every faculty member must have, or any researcher must have that ORC ID, and just ensure that it is there, and you please mention your affiliation. So in that case, the loss of paper, the pain for losing the paper, losing the weightage because of good publications should not be lost in between. And then attract students from the neighboring state. Obviously, that's we have already discussed. And I have also talked about the digital presence in today's world. The most powerful medium is our digital media, and make sure that maximum information about your faculty, your staff, the digital resources, whatever is available with you are kept in the portal, and attract people to see your website, so that the more they will see your website for different resources, you will be benefited. You will get the attention in the academic community and the professional community. And there must be a communication department. I suggest that their job is to is basically the data collection, and at the same time uploading those important information about your institutions to the outside world, and for which you have to make use of social media, print media, TV and others, and use the communication methodologies like there are many tools are there, so that you can publicize the website of the institute, make your website very simple, light, and make it very rich, so that rich in content, and it should be designed in such a way that anyone can access this info. They should know where this information must be available, so that the searching becomes very easy. And then modern learning management system, there are n number of software ERP tools are available. You can have your internal ERP system, or you can take the help of some third-party tools, and make sure that the students' progress are monitored. Make sure that the faculty members, they get the right information about the students in time. And the most important part for any academic institutions, yes, the students community is there, but in order to support the students community, the knowledge people, that is called the faculty people, they should have a good ambience, and they should be enriched, so that they can deliver better or the quality education to the students. So that is the major part which I thought of sharing. And I think I'm little fast. I have come almost at the fag end, because whenever I wish all of you that best of luck for your improved NIRF ranking. So the most important part is the improved NIRF ranking. As I told you in the very beginning, it cannot be done in one day. You cannot decide that one day that today I'm going to, or within 7 months or 8 months I should have a enriched or enhanced ranking. it comes from a particular system. It comes from a from the type of infrastructure you have developed. It depends upon the type of faculty member you have retained. It depends upon the type of support you have provided to the students community. It is a collective process, and all are interlinked. So the beauty of this NIRF scheme is, first is it is an Indian model, and it takes care of the Indian system, and it doesn't ask for anything which is not available. It asks for all the information which is available. So only our job is to collect information and make sure this information is entered properly in the NIRF system. So that is about from my side, and I don't mind any kind of queries from your end.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee, for viewing this entire presentation in such a magnificent way. You have been able to so exhaustively, and in a very lucid way, you have been able to convey to everyone what is this NRF, the major components that you have focused on, the parameters on which one has to work on when we think about NRF, and as you said, the TLR, the teaching learning resource, the graduation outcome, the research and professional practices, and yes, also most importantly, also the outreach and the inclusivity of that. You have brought everything so together, everything easy to understand, and every aspect that you have taken into consideration, and also the best practices that you have, the smaller ways, but yes, which makes a very greater, bigger impact. And also, as you have said, that the institutions must think about also having these communication departments in order to ensure that they are just in pace with the time, and they are able to build up more better communications, and connections, whether they are with the alumni. And so lot many takeaways for each and everyone over here. We have more than 550 attendees who are there right now on this platform listening to you, who have immensely got benefited, Dr. Bhattacharjee, with your such an excellent presentation, and which has spoken volume about your commitment, to the cause of transforming, the institutions through the NRF, bringing in the changes. And you have been able to, share your expertise with each one of us. We remain truly grateful to you. Thank you so very much for sharing your experience with us. And you have truly inspired, many of us to think about bringing in that change that we really wish to see around, and taking our institutions, to the more higher and higher levels. Thank you so very much once again for your time and efforts in being there. And with your permission, we would like to make the floor open for the quick questions. So now we would like to request our attendees over here. You may like to, make the best use of the time by posing any questions, though the presentation was really too exhaustive and enlightening by Dr. Bhattacharjee. But if you have any questions, you are most welcome. You can use the chat box, or you're most welcome to raise your digital hand, and we'll be really delighted to get you connected with our distinguished speaker. The floor is entirely yours right now to all our distinguished attendees of the session here today. And I would just like to quickly sift through, if you have any question, raise your digital hand. And we would be really happy to give you an audio wherein you can pose your question. Let me just quickly go to, this is for Devanshu Sani. Mr. Devanshu, you don't have an audio device, so we can't give you an audio control. Let me just go to Dr. Deepak Kumar Shrivastava. This is for Dr. Deepak Kumar Shrivastava. He has raised his digital hand. Please kindly be very precise, because as we could see, there are a number of our attendees who may like to ask a question. Dr. Deepak Kumar Shrivastava, Dr. Deepak, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question? This is for you, Dr. Deepak Kumar Shrivastava. I'm extremely sorry, Dr. Deepak. I believe you're not able to do that. Let me go quickly to Dr. Praveen Kumar. Dr. Praveen Kumar, could you please unmute yourself? Yes, we are connected. Dr. Praveen, introduce yourself and you may ask the question to Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Sir, very good afternoon, sir, and your session is very insightful for us. I'm Dr. Praveen from KITE Group of Institutions, sir, and I'm the Institute Head Coordinator of KITE. Sir, my question is that in the NIRF framework, there is functional value F value. So for our perspective, because we are in rank, so for our future perspective, how I can make the reference for the F, because it is not noticeable to us.
See, I have said thanks for this particular question, and if you remember, I have told you there are some functions are as I told you that out of the most of the questions which the data which we provide, and around 50% question for around 50% parameters, we can have our own ranking. We can check it our own ranking because the formula is very clear. But in some cases, some functions are there because that is totally purely NIRF function, and those particular functions that depends upon even they get triggered at the time when they collect the information from multiple sources. When everyone data is submitted, then based on the data, based on the percentile, and based on the log mechanism, the log function, by using the log function, they do some calculation that individual functions basically that depends upon the NIRF team that time based on the data which has been collected by the system. So it is not an uniform function which they would, supposing the function which they have used last to last year, the same function and the same they must not have used in this year. So that's what one time to say. All the data and the functions are not very clear, and rather they have not made it public because of the reason even some for some data they themselves do not know what to do, and they can only come to the conclusion when they can see the data collected from all angles, and then they do the analysis. So those functions are not very clearly spelled by NIRF. Even same thing is for the QS also. There are many data components are there in the QS. There are many data components are there THE. There are many data components are there in Shanghai ranking. So those components are not well spelled because that depends upon the data of that year.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. Thank you very much. I would now like to go to Dr. J. Naga Vishnuvardhan. Dr. J. Naga Vishnuvardhan, I have unmuted you. Yes, we are connected. Please introduce yourself quickly and you may like to ask the question.
No, good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, madam. I'm Dr. Naga Vishnuvardhan from BVRIT Hyderabad College of Engineering for Women, Hyderabad, Telangana State. Sir, can you please explain about how the faculty ratio, faculty strength is calculated? That is, by which date faculty should join in the institution to be considered for NIRF ranking? And if you look into engineering colleges, sir, there is a first year department where you will have a maths faculty, physics, chemistry, English faculty, where they have MSc degree as the MSc degree as the qualification, where they are not considered for ranking. How can this can be improved?
Okay, sir. Regarding the first of all, in our system also, whenever a new faculty joins, we provide the data to NIRF, but those details of those faculty members are not considered because they considered only those faculty members who have taught for 2 sessions, at least 2 sessions. So if you see that NIRF 2023 result, the data which we have provided into the system is for 21 and 22. So obviously the session start from 1st September. So the faculty members who have already taught 2 semesters, their data are captured, and those faculty members who have taught 1 semester, some partial data is captured by NIRF. And regarding the qualification, master's qualification, there is nothing wrong. I do not see any reason why they should not consider the master's qualification. But yes, the NIRF rank is very clear where the faculty members qualification is only BSc, that is not counted, but master's qualification is absolutely fine. And there is nothing wrong in having a master degree for the particular students. So if you have got any specific query why it has not been done for some specific faculty member, you can write it to NIRF, that is called help@nirf.ac.in. So they will respond to you about the faculty member. But having master degree, there is no embargo, there is no stoppage. He or she can easily take the class. Or sorry, I mean should be counted as a faculty. The link is okay. Am I audible?
Audible, Dr. Bhattacharjee, I was not, I just encountered that mine was muted, I self-muted. Thank you very much. And we could see that, this has really, your presentation has really inspired everyone. And we could see that now Dr. G. Amjad Khan may like to pose his question to you. So Dr. G. Amjad Khan, could you please unmute? Yes, we are connected. Please introduce yourself and kindly go ahead in asking your question.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Is it audible?
Yeah.
Sir, I am Dr. G. Amjad Khan, Associate Professor from G. Pullareddy Engineering College, Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. Sir, I want to know about regarding the perception, sir. So when I compare NIRF last year to this year, the perception has reduced. So what might be the reasons this perception has reduced, and what are the measures I should take to improve this perception?
Sir, the total weightage given for perception is 10%, and even NIRF do not have any control on this perception. They have a database approximately 8,000 to 9,000 industrial experts and academic experts. The academics experts include those faculty members and those academicians who have been holding at least the deanship or headship or the or the VC position or the director's position of any academic institution. So those are all eminent academicians. So every year and this is not a static database. Database is continuously improving. I still remember in 2015 the total academicians details were only 2,500. Now they have got approximately 8,500 to 9,000 academicians and industry experts in their portfolio. So the questionnaire is sent to them and they need to respond. Initially, first time they respond, with first when they send the query, around 40 to 45% faculty member or academician they respond. After that, with multiple follow-ups, the result says around 70 to 80% people they participate in the perception. As far as the perception, how to improve your perception can only be done with your digital presence. It can only be done with words of mouth. The people, more and more people will come to know about your organization. The better reachability will be there, and you will be having a better. See, the Indian system is a very peculiar system. We have got a very high ranked institutions, top level institution. If we go by the QS, there are approximately 5 to 6 institutions are there within who are there in first 200, and others institutions are in the range of 300, 400, 500. And for the small institutions come into that rank of that range of IITs, NITs, or IIMs, is very difficult for them. So my suggestion to any institution is to have enrich your or enlarge your faculty strength, enlarge your students, empower your students, let your students get best education, and obviously you have to take care about their placement. Once your students they get better placement, and automatically the people of your locality will come to know that these institutions they provide good support to the students community. Automatically your name will spread and your perception will be improved. But there is no thumb rule. It is totally based on your effort to improve in the overall aspect of your organization. Then only that this perception is improved. But if we go by the NIRF ranking, the perception parameter is only 10%. If I go to QS, their perception parameter is 50%. So in that way, we are thankful to Government of India. At least they have made such a scheme for us where most of the informations are tangible, that is provided by us, and the intangible part, that is the perception, where we have no control, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. We would now like to move to Dr. K. Adhinarayanan. And Dr. Adhinarayanan, could you please unmute yourself and you may kindly ask your question. This is for you, Dr. K. Adhinarayanan. Could you please unmute yourself? I believe, yes, and just once again, I'm doing that. Please, Dr. Adhinarayanan, slightly be, faster. Please kindly unmute yourself, Dr. Adhinarayanan. Requesting you, please kindly unmute yourself because we are hardly left with any time now, and we don't really want to further intrude into the space of Dr. Bhattacharjee, who has been so kind in giving so much of time to each one of us. This is for you, Dr. K. Adhinarayanan. Could you please unmute yourself and ask your question? You have unmuted. Please go ahead. I believe he's having a difficulty, You can send and post your message in the chat box, and we will be very happy to take the question from there. Dr. S.N. Suresh, Dr. Suresh, quickly, this is for you, Dr. Bhattacharjee. Can we have 5 minutes more of yours?
Yes, madam, please go ahead. I have no issue.
Thank you. Thank you so much indeed. This is for you, Dr. S.N. Suresh. Could you please unmute yourself? Yes, we are connected.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Suresh.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Suresh from Ratnam College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. I have a question under student progression. Which one has more weightage, whether the placement of the students or higher education?
Obviously, it is the placement. If you see the score, maximum weightage is given for the students' placement. Higher education, it is there, but I'm not very sure how much weightage they give it to give it to higher education, because as far as the formula is concerned, it is not very clear. And my interaction with NIRF people, what they told us is basically they would like to give more emphasis for the current students for their placement, because higher education, it can be in the same institute, higher education can be abroad, it can be somewhere else, but the where they are going for higher education, that type of data is not captured in the NIRF where they are moving. So major emphasis is on your placement, sir, not on the number of people opted for higher education. But if we go by the data set, even the data which has been shared by NIRF in their booklet, they say around 10 to 12% students, they opt for higher education. So maximum weightage is on placement, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. And now we would like to go to Mr. Gunasekhar T. Mr. Gunasekhar T, could you please unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Yes, we are connected.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Namaste.
I'm Gunasekhar, Professor Mathematics, Vailtech University, and also MTech pursuing IIT Jodhpur. I have doubt about the faculty-student ratio, whether it is followed by 20:1 or 15:1, sir. And
it is
also
15:1.
Sir?
It is 15:1, sir.
Okay, sir. Whether this ratio is calculating by that other location faculty also, sir?
Sorry, repeat once again.
The faculties are working other location, like posted as officials, registrar, dean. This also included in the department or excluding, sir?
Their registrar and all, they do not come under the teaching category as such. If the faculty member, there is a faculty member who is also a teacher, who is also a registrar, that is a different issue altogether. So it totally depends upon the type of data which you have entered in the particular system. So system expect that you should provide the faculty members who are directly involved in teaching. So if you see the definition, they ask for the people who are teaching for 2 semesters. So that means they are actually looking for faculty members who are involved in teaching. But sometimes what happens in any organization, some of the senior faculty members, they are given some administrative responsibilities. When they are giving the administrative responsibilities, but based on their overall contribution in the academic system, they are also counted.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
did I is the question, did I answer to your question properly, or you
Yes,
asked me something?
yes, sir. I understand. I understand. Thank you, sir.
Fine. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Gunasekaran. Thank you very much. We would now quickly like to move to our other, professional colleague, who may like to ask a question. This is Jyotika Nanda Das. Jyotika Nanda Das, could you please unmute yourself? And our library professional who is being there wanting to ask a question. This is for you, Jyotika Nanda Das. Could you please quickly unmute yourself and ask the question? Jyotika Nanda Das, this is the last call. If you can unmute yourself and ask the question, because I could see many others, who are wanting. I'm really compelled to now mute you from here. Moving on, we have reached to the alphabet K. This is for Dr. Bhattacharjee to inform. From A to K, we have moved on. And so now we have Nithya T, who may like to ask a question. Nithya T, Nithya, could you please unmute yourself as quickly as you can? This is for you, Nithya T. I have sent you an unmute request. I'm extremely sorry. If you're not able to do that, you may kindly contact Dr. Bhattacharjee through email. The email ID is being there on the screen, because right now we are really trying to see how faster we can continue the session. This is for Mr. Rahul Ingnawale. Mr. Rahul Jagannath Ingnawale, could you please unmute yourself? This is for you, Mr. Rahul Jagannath Inglawale. Could you please unmute yourself? If you're not able to do, then I really have to mute you from here. And now going ahead and seeing Mr. Ramakant H. Mr. Ramakant H, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Mr. Ramakant H, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Really sorry if you're not able to unmute yourself. Let me just, this is for Rosina Ansari. Rosina Ansari, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question? Rosina Ansari, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question? For you, Rosina Ansari, could you please unmute? No, you're not able to do it. Last call for you, Rosina Ansari. I could see that you are trying to do, perhaps not able to establish a connection right now. You may post your, we'll quickly have a look at the chat box also before we conclude. And we're just about to be through with we have Sukhwinder Kaur. Sukhwinder, could you please unmute yourself? I've unmuted you from here. This is for you, Sukhwinder. Could you please unmute yourself? If you're not able to, let me just mute you then from here, and just quickly would like to, we are just towards, yes, Dr. Bhattacharjee, with your permission, another 2-3 minutes, not more than that of yours.
Yes,
and,
absolutely, madam. Please go ahead.
Yeah, fine. Dr. Bhattacharjee, this is a question coming from Mr. Samir Kumar Devrakonda, who says, sir, that being a private engineering college, we do not provide PhD programs. Consequently, when our NIRF ranking was compared to that of the institutions offering PhD programs, it had an impact on our standing. How can we improve in this category, as they are not providing the PhD programs? Your take on this, Dr. Bhattacharjee?
Yeah, even that PhD program, adds value to the institute, but it is not compulsory. You can be evaluated based on your undergraduate or PG students enrollment and their placement and other parameters. So if you do not have PhD students, it's fine. I mean, so only in some parameters you will be scoring little less, because if you see that in NIRF ranking, even if you score little less in 1 or 2 parameters, it doesn't matter. There are so many parameters are there. Total number of parameters is 26. So in one parameter, if you score little less, it doesn't matter at all. So try to provide quality education for your undergraduate students or other master degree students, if there is any. So I mean, nothing to worry about that at all.
Thank you very much. I could see that that there are some 3-4 questions, which would be of relevance to everyone here, being posted on the chat box. And one is coming from Dr. P. Sarvan Wesley, who says that the parameter 5.B application to seat ratio was 95% in our college last year. Still, we got 0 marks in peer perception. Could you please explain this? And she's from Dr. Wesley from Safi Institute of Advanced Studies from Kerala.
I mean, first of all, these two parameters has got no connection, as I have already explained. Perception, even NIRF doesn't have any control. So they have the database. The database is collected from UGC, and the database is collected from MOE, and then other state government institutions. So that is I mean, out of those database, supposing some people have not heard about this institution's name, very difficult. And plus, if you talk about the perception, the total weightage in perception is only 10%. Even in IIT Delhi, we have not done that well in terms of perception. I mean, we are far away from IIT Madras. IIT Madras, they have scored 100 out of 100 as far as the perception is concerned. So I have explained why, because they are very popular because of their research. They are very popular because of their consultancy work. They're very popular because of their R&D work. So they have earned their name. So I cannot say why I'm not near to them. I know we are not doing that well. We are not that, we cannot come very close to them. So our performance is not that good like that. So as far as the perception is concerned, perception is totally depending upon whether the top level academic institutional administrators have how much they are acquainted about your institute. And another thing is that no faculty member, no academic administrator or these experts, they cannot click on all the 8,866 institutions. They have to choose only 10. So every participant, they have got some limited scopes. They can participate only for 10 institutes. They can vouch for. They cannot vouch for all the institutions. So maybe this year your perception rank will improve. I pray to God that you must have a good perception, and if you do well, obviously people will come to know about your institutions, and perception point will be definitely will be taken care of by the system itself. But your question is correlating with your with another parameter that may not be relevant now. That is not linked as such. Because that is done totally. That is done totally by two independent body. Ranking is totally done by third party. Sorry, ranking of the that is called your perception. Perception is done by based on the individual inputs from some experts, and whereas your data which you are providing particular system is totally based on the institutions who are participating and based on your input. Sorry, madam, please continue.
Yes, I'm extremely sorry, Dr. Bhattacharjee, because I could see that there are questions being here, and we really want to see to it. I know that we are really taking not much of your time. 1 or 2 or 3 question maximum. One is coming from Dirsila J. Nagendra Kumar, who is wanting to know, sir, kindly focus on ESCS. Do we need to take into consideration the fee reimbursement from the government or the fee reimbursement by the institution itself? ESCS.
So it is just let me I don't remember by all the name wise parameters. I just check it ekbar.
So wanting to know whether they have to mention the fee reimbursement coming from the government or from the institution.
Normally the fee reimbursement is basically there are 2 parameters are recorded in NIRF. One is directly coming from the state government or central government, and secondly the government gives fund to the institutions, and then the institutions gives that scholarship to the particular student. So that reimbursement part is totally it is based on, and there is a third parameter. There are some fees reimbursement from the private entities also. So it is a combination. So there are three sources the reimbursement can be done. One is the state government or central government. Second source is the fees reimbursement can be done through the institutional grant which the institution receives from government, whether it is a state government or central government. And third one is basically based on the grant which they receive from the private entities.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. This is, Dr. Selvin Wesley, to whose question about the perception, how to change and bring in more, visibility to the institution you had answered, and wherein you had opined that yes, it is a third party who does this assessment, and see the perception. And he has requested that, ma'am, please do read out, my the specific remarks. They're saying that at least some transparency to be there in collecting the database would be appreciated and justify the process. I believe, they're wanting to know that who are the ones who are basically, evaluating their perception. So the NRF, that as an institution, it seems that Dr. Wesley is of the opinion that the institution should be knowing that who are the ones who are evaluating about their visibility of the specific institution. So
I know why they are asking this question, because if you see in QS ranking, the QS asked for 400 names from the academic category and from the corporate category, and those 400 names are to be given by the individual institutions. So the perception is restricted to those 400 plus 400, 800 participants who should vouch for your organization. So that is a totally a different model in case of QS. In case of NIRF, their model is completely different, because the NIRF model is something like that. Here, the academician's name has come from the UGC or from MOE, and the experts. See, who are the experts who does this perception survey? I told you there are 8,000 to 9,000 academic or industrial experts are there. This 8,000, 9,000 academic experts are those eminent professionals or those eminent academicians who are basically who are basically either they have been holding the vice chancellor position, pro-vice chancellor position, or head of the department, or deanship of different organizations, or was the director of different organizations, something like that, or those who are in the corporate sector. People are in the corporate sector, they are the people, and no one can share these particular names. If tomorrow NIRF says, take this 9,000 names, I'll be the first person go and approach them. So there is no transparency as such. So as far as the transparency is concerned, these names are confined. These names are known to very few people in NIRF. The people who are doing the data analysis, only they know from where the data is coming. It's not known to other people. So I don't think they can disclose those names. And please don't compare with QS model. QS model, there are a lot of questions are there. The QS model, I have questions about NIF model also, but that is not that much. But QS, never compared to all two different models, because that doesn't help as such.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So just two questions, 1 minute each, for each of this question of your reply, including.
Madam, you take 10 questions. I have no issue.
That's so very kind of you. That's really, it's so comforting, not only for me, but for everyone here, because we are just getting, so much enriched, with your deliberations and with your expertise. It's purely too impressive, and you have been really so kind and gracious in accommodating the request of everyone. Question coming in from Philomena P. George, who wants to say, sir, going back on the faculty numbers, how is it counted for institutions following trimester system, vice versa 2 consecutive semesters? So how do they address this issue of the faculty members then, the numbers, because they have a trimester system in place?
Really, I really do not know exactly how this can be addressed, but if you see the template which is shared by NIRF, That template talks about the result in the first semester, the result in the second semester, and then the two ways are there. Either you can club them together and give the average, or I don't think that is any issue, because you can just add on the third semester or the trimester semester result also in the particular system. The system doesn't stop as such. So they take what they do is basically they just club it together and take the complete students. So for them, whether it is you are following the 2 semester system or 3 semester system doesn't matter as much. But if there is any check from the system, that system doesn't allow more than 2 semester system, then there must be some problem with the portal. But I don't think, I have not seen such restrictions as such. You can enter the trimester system result as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Question coming from Mr. Sambhav Vora, and this question really is quite something that every academician, would like to address, and saying that, sir, it is too difficult to compare performance of rural colleges with the colleges in the main metro cities. Neither such colleges have enough facilities nor faculties. A good faculty will always try to go to the metro cities. Don't you think NIRF should categorize colleges in various categories to compare? Quite an important question, sir, that everyone would like to address this major issue.
Thank you, sir. The person who has raised this particular question, this is absolutely.
Mr. Sambhav.
Yeah. Even I thought of addressing this particular question, but I missed out somewhere. Thank you very much for raising this particular question. Let me tell you very categorically. NIRF has their own internal categorization. They do not compare IITs with your institution or a institution of a institution from a rural area. There are 10 categories are there. That categories, they do it in the system itself, depending upon the volume of students, depending upon the type of resource utilization, depending upon the government grants these institutions are getting. So they individually, internally, they classify them into defined categories, then they analyze. So when there is a competition should be apple to apple. It should not be compared with other things. So that part is inbuilt in an NIRF system. But yes, since the entire process is not that clear, so you cannot see it. But I know we raised this particular issue, and whenever there are some ranking related conferences are there, this is a very common question comes. And I still remember in the QS also some people asked the same question to the expert who came from NIRF, and they answered it in the same fashion, because see, there is no comparison with the top level institution, then middle level institution, then low level institution. Under the low category institution, there are 3 categories. In the top level institution, there are 4 categories. In the middle level institution, there are 3 more categories. So like that internal categorization has already been done in NIRF, but just because there is an internal process and which you cannot see. So never think that you are not been this has been addressed. So nothing to worry. Your score is considered with the institution of your category. When IITs are considered, IITs are compared with other IITs and NITs. They are not compared with an urban college or school, or urban college or a engineering college. So that categorization is automatically inbuilt in the system. So be rest assured, there will be no injustice to any urban college or engineering college.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. This is a question now from Mr. Amit Pramanik, who is wanting to know, sir, that for a degree college, placement count, should it be considered only for those students who have passed during the last 3 years tenure only, or anyone who has been placed during this tenure? Who have passed during this tenure?
Placement data, if you see how NIRF captures, I have the data for this NIRF. They captured it for last 3 years. So it is not even current students who will be placed next year. Their data is not captured. Supposing I am counting for 21-22. So last 3 years data they captured it. So I mean, this is taken care of in the system itself as such.
Perfectly fine. this seems like, that we at last have been able to address with your very, very kind, gracious presence and intellect. We have been able to take all the questions which were being asked on this, and it seems that we have put all the queries to rest through these deliberations. Thank you so very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. We can't really thank you enough. It has truly been such a wonderful, highly, not only knowledge sharing and knowledge enhancing. All of us could see that not much of illumination that you have done through your presence here today. So much of knowledge that you hold on this, and practically, since you're the helm of affairs and doing it and sharing that with others, inspiring everyone, motivating everyone that yes, take the next step and sky is the limit. And we are pretty confident that you have today inspired everyone, given them not many newer ways in which they can think about, enhancing their visibility and making their NIRF ranking. And it has been a great honor and pleasure for DELNET and for each one of our attendees over here who have got so profoundly benefited with your presence here today. We would like to seek your permission in making this particular entire video recording of this session available on YouTube at DELNET's YouTube channel. If you may kindly agree to our request, because it's not only those who are being here, there would be many other institutions, who would really like to get yet again benefited, and those who have been here, they may like to listen to your words of wisdom once again. Not only once, they may like to, play it again and again, and then to see to it that how they can really improvise their performance, and before they go for the next year's NF ranking submissions, they may really like to once again, before they submit it, they may like to once again see, your presentation. So maybe have a, maybe request you to make this recording available on the YouTube.
Yeah, madam, please go ahead. Not issue.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Thank you, madam.
On behalf of DELNET and on behalf of with us, here goes each and everyone who have been there on this platform today. You have really been so very kind and gracious, and this is right from the very first communication that we had, and must thank Dr. Nabi Hassan, who introduced us, each one of us, to you. And you really hold such a great expertise on this subject, and you have really helped in making everyone know that what are those things, that they have been, those questions which have been lingering in their minds for long, and today they got an opportunity to learn so much new, from such a seasoned professional and an expert. We are much grateful. We express our very sincere, warm gratitude to you, and we really look forward to having you in person, to hold a program, and to have you. So today is a beginning. We have made also in getting interactions, with you on the online platform. This is a small token of our warm gratitude and admiration to you, and for the wonderful work that you're doing and helping in promoting the knowledge sharing. And everyone feels purely enlightened, with your presence here today. May we have a pleasure of requesting you to kindly accept this.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. Thank you so much. And if Dr. Nabi Hassan is there around, he would definitely be there. Dr. Hassan, yes, you are here. Can we see you?
Very much.
Yes, yeah. So we can't really thank much, to Dr. Nabi Hassan. Always. It's a kind of such a wonderful association, such a wonderful colleague, whom you can always count on. Just one phone call, one email, and he's always there to support, and who always endorses. Thank you very much. A token of our very warm, sincere admiration to you, and for such a wonderful collaboration in introducing us, each one of us, not only DELNET, each one of us, to our very esteemed speaker, Dr. Bhattacharjee, and we could not have been able to do it without your being there. Thank you very much, and this is a small, but yes, it is with a, it's a huge gratitude to you, and very sincere admiration for such a wonderful, collaboration and help that you always provide to not only DELNET, to the entire library community as such. Would you like to say something, Dr. Hassan?
There's one thing, in fact, Dr. Kalyan Bhattacharjee is also expert in HR management in libraries. So this is something like he has contributed in our MOOC course as well, and he has been taking sessions here in IIT Delhi Library on HR management in libraries, because his PhD is in knowledge management, although it is in management, but it is in knowledge management. And he has also completed law as well. So he's highly qualified person in IIT Delhi. So thank you very much for introducing him to this audience, because the network of DELNET is really huge, and I think he could reach today to maybe 500 to 600 unique like visitors. So thank you very much for collaborating with IIT Delhi and Dr. Kalyan. So I hope this association continues in physical form as well. We can have some physical event as well, maybe in IIT Delhi.
Surely. It's a pleasure. Thank you so very much once again to our distinguished speaker for being there with us. Thank you so very much, Dr. Bhattacharjee. And we really, in fact, Dr. Hassan has told us, so we are all set to send you yet another invite sometime soon, maybe by next year, early next year, for HR management in libraries. So we have, it has not been ended. We are being, going to stay in a connected mode, and would be an immense pleasure and honor to have you with us at DELNET. The second time we will have it in a hybrid mode, that's for sure. You have been really able to give so much of your valuable time. We have greatly admired it. And thank you so very much for your very, very gracious, intellectual presence with us.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sure.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. We would also like to express our warm, sincere thanks to each one of you for making this afternoon a purely, truly an engaging afternoon. Our very, very special thanks to all our colleagues who have been able to be here, and also in engaging in very fruitful and meaningful discussions and deliberations that we had witnessed in the last 1.5 hours. As with the gracious acceptance of our distinguished speaker, the entire deliberations of today's session would be available by tomorrow afternoon on the DELNET's YouTube channel. That is a web view. We request you to please do kindly subscribe to the channel as we keep on uploading the videos of our own sessions that are being conducted. We remain much grateful to you for your very gracious and kind presence here and making it truly an afternoon to remember. And we do hope that each one of you have been able to have many takeaways from the session, and you will be, bringing your institutions in the more limelight, and continue, to have a continuous improvement in the system, in the procedures, to see to it that we see that tomorrow is much more brighter than today. And let's continue with our efforts in the present. And we really assure you from DELNET, from IIT Delhi, that we would remain committed to be of all assistance and help to you in making the world a much more informed and an enriching one. Thank you so very much. I also would like to thank my own colleague, Mr. Kushalgiri Goswami, who has been coordinating our webinar sessions from here. It's a pleasure once again to thank you and acknowledge your presence, and quickly to mention by 5 o'clock, you'll be receiving the certificate of participation in today's program. But yes, the true benefits that we have been able to derive out of these deliberations, each one of us have witnessed it in such an impressive manner. Thank you very much on behalf of each one of us to you, Dr. Bhattacharjee, and we remain ever grateful to you for your very, very kind and splendid, cooperation and help to us. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all. Stay happy, stay blessed, stay informed, and most importantly, do stay connected. We look forward to having you back again in the future webinars of DELNET. It has been truly an honor and a pleasure in having you. Once again, a profound thanks from DELNET and IIT Delhi for being such an integral part of today's webinar proceedings. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharjee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. Thank you. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you.